Hello, baby. Tonight I will tell you a gentle and magical story called The Whispering Wind and the Cloud Kite. It's a tale about a curious little wind who dreamed of adventure and a playful kite made of clouds who longed to fly higher than ever before. Together, they float across the skies, meeting kind-hearted creatures, learning lovely little lessons, and chasing the dream of reaching the stars. Now, snuggle close, close your eyes if you like, and let the story begin. Once upon a time, in a sky painted with soft blues and cottony whites, there lived a little breeze named Whimsy. Whimsy wasn't like the big, strong winds that carried storms or danced through mountain passes. No, Whimsy was a whispering wind, gentle and shy, who fluttered through fields of daisies and played hide-and-seek between tall blades of grass. Every morning, Whimsy would stretch across the hilltops, greeting the flowers as they opened their sleepy petals. "Good morning, daffodils," Whimsy would whisper. "Good morning, sleepy sunflowers." And the flowers, though they could not speak, would wiggle happily in reply, swaying with the soft breeze like a lullaby sung to the earth. Whimsy loved the mornings. The world was quiet, the sky still yawned with golden light, and everything seemed wrapped in a sleepy hug. But sometimes when Whimsy looked up, way up, past the birds and into the clouds, a little longing would stir in its heart. "I wonder what it's like," Whimsy would sigh, "to dance among the clouds, to chase the moon and tiptoe over stars. I wish I could float that high." The other winds would laugh gently when Whimsy shared this wish. "You're too little," they'd say kindly. "Clouds are far, far above. You're meant to rustle leaves and tickle toes, not sail into the sky." But Whimsy, though quiet, had a dreaming heart. And dreamers, no matter how small, carry wishes that can grow wings. One dusky evening, as the sky turned soft shades of peach and lavender, Whimsy felt something tugging at its breeze. It was light, almost ticklish, like a feather brushing against the wind. Curious, Whimsy twirled around, and there, caught on a branch of an old pear tree, was something most unusual. It looked like a kite, but not any kite Whimsy had ever seen. It shimmered faintly, like moonlight reflected on water, and its string was made of threads spun from morning mist. The kite was shaped like a cloud, puffy and soft, and its little tail danced with twinkling droplets that looked like stars. Whimsy drifted closer. "Hello?" the breeze whispered. The kite fluttered. Then, to Whimsy's amazement, it spoke. "Oh, hello down there. Could you help me? I was flying so happily, but a naughty gust tossed me into this tree. Now I'm stuck." Whimsy giggled. "Of course I'll help you." Carefully, Whimsy swirled around the branch, loosening the cloud kite bit by bit. The more Whimsy helped, the more the kite sparkled with glee. At last, with a gentle twist, the kite was free, floating beside Whimsy like a cotton puff. "Thank you," the kite said, sighing happily. "My name is Siri. I come from the upper skies, where the night is quiet and the stars whisper secrets." Whimsy's heart danced. "The upper skies? What are they like?" Siri spun in the air, trailing sparkles of stardust. "Oh, it's magical. There are moonbeams that you can skip across, and cloud whales that sing lullabies. The stars wink at you if you fly close enough, and sometimes, if you're very quiet, you can hear the sky hum a sleepy song." Whimsy sighed a deep, breezy sigh. "I've always dreamed of going there." Siri's tail twirled thoughtfully. "Well then, why don't you come with me?" "Me?" Whimsy fluttered in surprise. "But I'm only a whisper of wind. I can't fly so high. Everyone says I'm meant to stay low." Siri smiled softly, a smile like a lullaby. "Sometimes the gentlest winds carry the biggest dreams. I can't fly without the wind, and you're a wind full of wonder. If we go together, maybe we can reach higher than either of us ever could alone." Whimsy twirled in delight, her breeze forming tiny spirals of joy. "Do you really think we can?" Siri nodded. "Let's try, slowly, gently, like a bedtime song." And so, just as the stars began to twinkle one by one, Whimsy wrapped around Siri's string. Together, they rose, first past the treetops where owls blinked sleepily, then over rooftops where chimneys whispered goodnight smoke into the sky. The earth below grew smaller, quieter, sleepier. The wind grew cooler, softer, wrapped in night's velvet hush. "Where shall we go first?" Whimsy asked as they floated beside the first sleepy cloud. "Where dreams begin," said Siri with a giggle. "Let's find the cloud garden. It's where all dream seeds are born." And so the whispering wind and the cloud kite drifted higher and higher into a sky filled with lullabies and moonlit paths. They didn't know yet of the cloud cats who napped on starlight pillows, or the sleepy suns that hummed in their cradles of gold. They didn't know yet about the quiet creature who guarded the dream seeds, or the test they'd need to pass to fly among the stars. But they would. For now, they floated, hearts full of wonder, through the gentle hush of the night sky. As Whimsy and Siri drifted higher into the night sky, the earth below became a sleepy patchwork of twinkling lights and whispering trees. The air turned cool and calm, filled with the scent of stars and the hush of dreams. They passed clouds shaped like bunnies and cookies, like castles and cuddly bears, each one resting gently in the sky as if cradled by the moon itself. The clouds seemed to hum as they floated by, soft notes that danced around Whimsy's breeze and made Siri's string flutter with delight. "Is it far to the cloud garden?" Whimsy asked in a curious whisper. Siri wobbled a little in the wind and replied, "Not very far now. We'll know we're close when the sky smells like vanilla cake and the stars get sleepy." Whimsy giggled, sending a tiny swirl of breeze ahead to sniff the air. "I think I smell it already." The breeze carried hints of sweet sugar and something soft and warm, like fresh blankets warmed by moonlight. They continued their flight, slower now, as though the sky itself wanted them to take their time. The stars blinked lazily, some already yawning, some curling up in starlight hammocks. Below them, clouds began to change, no longer puffy and wild, but carefully shaped like neat little rows of dream pods. "There," Siri said, twirling. "We're here." Before them lay the cloud garden. It was nestled between two gentle hills of night and was made entirely of clouds that glowed from within. Rows of fluffy mounds stretched out in every direction, each one cradling something small and shimmering. These were dream seeds, tiny glowing orbs, each carrying a wish, a hope, or a sleepy thought whispered by children all around the world. Whimsy floated closer, eyes wide. "They're beautiful." Siri nodded. "Each one is special. Some are about flying, some about swimming with whales, some about building castles in the clouds. The garden keeps them safe until they're ready to be dreamed." "Can we touch one?" Whimsy asked. "Only very gently," Siri said, "and only with the kindest breeze." Whimsy moved softly toward a glowing orb that shimmered pink and gold. It hummed quietly, like a lullaby from a dream not yet dreamed. With a feather-light touch, Whimsy curled around it. The seed blinked once, then bloomed open, sending a trail of stars up into the sky. "Oh," Whimsy gasped. "What did I do?" "You helped it bloom," Siri whispered. "That one was ready. Someone, somewhere, is dreaming it right now." Whimsy felt a joy so quiet and deep, it hummed in every part of her breeze. "This place is full of magic." "Yes," Siri agreed, "but not all can stay. The cloud garden is protected by the Dream Keeper, a creature of night clouds and lullaby light." As Siri spoke, the sky darkened just slightly, and a shape began to form beyond the garden. From a resting swirl of silver clouds rose a gentle giant made entirely of night mist and moonshine. Its eyes glowed softly like twin lanterns, and it wore a cloak of falling stars. As it moved, it made no sound at all, only the gentle hush of dreams being kept safe. Whimsy froze. Siri fluttered close. "Don't be afraid. The Dreamkeeper watches, not to frighten, but to guard." The Dreamkeeper drifted toward them, its presence calm, its movements slow like a dream just beginning. "You are new winds," it said in a voice that echoed like a sleepy drum. "Why have you come to the Garden of Dreams?" Siri bowed gently. "We seek the skies where stars sleep. We wish to float among the dreams and learn their ways." The Dreamkeeper blinked slowly. "Do you carry wishes with kindness?" Siri nodded. "Yes." "Do you move with gentleness?" Whimsy swirled softly. "I do." "And do you promise," the Dreamkeeper said, his voice lowering into a whisper, "to never harm a dream, not even the tiniest one?" "I promise," said Whimsy. "I do," said Siri. The Dreamkeeper hovered for a long moment, then slowly lifted one enormous hand made of fog. In it lay a glowing pebble no bigger than a button. "This is a guide seed," the Dreamkeeper said. "It will lead you through the skies of dreams. But beware, dreams are delicate. Some are joyful, others curious, and some are shy. Be tender with each one. And above all, listen." Whimsy took the pebble in a soft breeze and tucked it gently into a curl of air. "Thank you," she whispered. The Dreamkeeper nodded once and melted back into the clouds, becoming part of the sky once more. With the seed in their care, Whimsy and Siri turned from the garden and floated onward, their hearts quiet and full. They passed by lullaby lakes that glowed silver blue and drifting stars that purred like kittens in sleep. The seed in Whimsy's breeze glimmered faintly, pulling them onward, not fast, never fast, but slow, calm, and kind. Below them, they saw a sleeping hill shaped like a bear. Its back rose and fell with quiet breaths, and tiny snores echoed like soft wind chimes. "What's that?" Whimsy asked. "A dreamland creature," said Siri. "Sometimes dreams take the shape of friends. Shall we rest a while?" Whimsy swirled happily. "Yes." And so they curled up beside the sleepy hill bear, Siri resting gently on a puff of cloud, and Whimsy wrapping them both in a soft whisper of breeze. Above them, the sky blinked gently. Below them, the dream seeds glowed, and somewhere, far away, a child smiled in their sleep. When morning's first light brushed the edges of the dream sky with hints of peach and honey, Whimsy and Siri stirred gently from their cozy rest beside the hill bear. The creature still slept soundly, its fur like puffs of fog, rising and falling with peaceful dreams. Whimsy whispered a thank you into the breeze, and the bear's ear twitched ever so slightly, as if it had heard and smiled in its sleep. Above, the sky had changed again. The stars had dimmed, folding themselves into the blue, and thin veils of sunlight stretched across the horizon like golden ribbons. But in this magical realm, between waking and dreaming, Whimsy and Siri were not pulled down by the dawn. Instead, they followed the soft glow of the guide seed, which now shimmered with the pale colors of sunrise. "Where does it lead today?" Whimsy asked, drifting beside it. Siri twirled thoughtfully. "I think it wants to show us the echoing skies." "What are those?" "They're the skies where old dreams go to whisper. Every laugh, every wish, every gentle story once dreamed is kept safe there, softly echoing forever." Whimsy fluttered in delight. "That sounds beautiful." Together they drifted higher still, their path lined with breezy ribbons of mist and sleepy clouds shaped like memories. As they climbed, the air grew quieter, not empty, but full of something soft and distant, like lullabies remembered from long ago. Then they arrived. The echoing skies stretched out before them like a quilt made of moments. The clouds here shimmered with layers of silver and blue, and each one seemed to carry a faint sound, a giggle, a sigh, the sound of a page turning, or a whisper of someone saying, "Good night." Whimsy turned slowly in the breeze, listening with all her heart. She heard the laughter of a child learning to fly in their dream. She heard the hum of a song sung by a grandmother rocking gently in a chair. She heard the soft patter of invisible dream feet running across the stars. "It's like the sky remembers everything," Whimsy said, her voice hushed with wonder. "It does," said Siri. "This is where dreams go when they're finished but not forgotten. Every whisper leaves a trace. Listen closely. You might even hear your own." Whimsy paused, then let her breeze stretch gently into the sky. She didn't know exactly what to listen for, but something stirred, familiar, sweet, quiet as a feather. It was a memory of her first breeze, the very first time she tickled the petals of a dandelion and watched its seeds fly away like tiny wishes. The sky echoed it back to her, not with words but with a feeling, warmth, joy, softness. "I hear it," Whimsy whispered. Siri floated closer. "And now we leave one of our own." "How?" "Like this," Siri said, and with a gentle flutter of her tail, she released a little hum from within, a tiny song, one she'd heard once when a child laughed as their kite danced above a meadow. It floated into the sky and melted into the clouds, becoming part of the echo. Whimsy felt her heart swell with tenderness. She curled into a breeze and whispered her own gift. "Thank you for dreaming with us." The words shimmered, invisible but present, like starlight in the daytime. The clouds caught it, wrapped it in softness, and echoed it far and wide. Then something unexpected happened. The guide seed, which had floated calmly before them, began to glow more brightly. A gentle tug pulled it downward, not falling, but floating with purpose. "Where's it going?" asked Whimsy, curious. "To the dream mirror," Siri said. "It's a quiet place where you see what kind of dream you are becoming." Whimsy blinked. "Me? A dream?" "All winds that touch the cloud garden carry a little magic afterward," Siri explained softly. "You're not just a breeze anymore. You're part of something gentler and grander. The mirror will show you." Following the glowing seed, they descended into a calm hollow of sky wrapped in silver mist. At the very center floated a round mirror made entirely of still air and reflected starlight. It didn't hang from anything. It simply hovered, as if held in place by thought and hush. Whimsy approached, nervous but curious. She looked in and saw not her reflection. Not really. The mirror showed scenes. First, a girl lying beneath a tree, her eyes closed as a breeze tickled her cheeks. The breeze was soft and giggly, whimsy. Then a boy running with a kite, Siri dancing above, laughing in the wind as whimsy lifted her higher. Then a field of dream seeds blooming with light, the petals carried by a breeze so gentle it made stars blink slower just to feel it. "That's me," Whimsy whispered. "Yes," said Siri. "And that's the dream you are. A breeze that carries peace, play, and wonder. You are a lullaby on the wind." Whimsy watched, and for a long time she said nothing. Not because she was sad, but because the feeling in her heart was too big for words. It was joy, and it was love, and it was the hush of knowing you are exactly who you're meant to be. The mirror faded, melting into the mist. The guide seed floated upward once more, dimmer now, as if it had done its job and was ready to rest. Whimsy and Siri followed it in silence, their journey wrapped in golden quiet. The stars above blinked softly, proud of the little wind and the dreaming kite. "Where do we go next?" Whimsy finally asked, her voice no louder than a yawn. Siri smiled. "There's one more stop before the star path. The nesting moon awaits." And with that, they turned gently, wrapped in each other's lightness, and drifted once more into the skies of slumber. High above the echoing skies, beyond the silvery mist of the dream mirror, Whimsy and Siri floated in silence. The air around them grew softer still, tinged with a golden shimmer that warmed the breeze without ever growing hot. It was the kind of warmth found only in dreams, a hush-wrapped glow that felt like being held close under a blanket of stars. Ahead of them, rising slowly from the horizon like a pearl in the sky, appeared the nesting moon. It was not like the moon seen from the earth below. No, the nesting moon was much gentler, rounder, and softer, with a surface not of rock but of cloud fleece and stardust velvet. Its light didn't shine. It glowed like the comfort of a nightlight left on for safety. All around it floated tiny dream creatures curled in sleep, starlings tucked in moon hammocks, glowing owlets with eyes closed in lullabies, and moon mice curled beneath translucent leaves. Siri whispered, "This is where dreams rest before they travel." Whimsy slowed her breeze to a soft drift. "Rest before they travel where?" "To the children who are just falling asleep," Siri explained. "The nesting moon holds them gently, giving them time to grow full and bright. When they're ready, the moon lets them float down into the hearts of sleeping dreamers." Whimsy watched in awe. Little bundles of light, dream cocoons, floated from the moon's folds like bubbles, each pulsing gently with color and quiet. Some were soft pink with laughter tucked inside. Some were pale blue, holding wonder. Others sparkled with golden hope. A particularly tiny cocoon drifted past Whimsy's breeze. She reached out gently and caught it for a moment. It pulsed once in her grasp, sending a faint memory into the air. A tiny voice whispering, "I wish I could fly with the clouds." Whimsy blinked, heart swelling. "This one's like me." Siri twirled. "Maybe it is you." Sometimes dreams circle back. They grow inside us and then return to be shared again. The nesting moon, sensing their arrival, stirred with a slow, welcoming glow. A pathway of mist unfurled from its edge, floating in midair like a ribbon of moonlight. "Shall we go closer?" Siri asked, her voice now no more than a sleepy hush. Whimsy nodded, and together they followed the path, their forms light as dandelion fluff, their spirits held in perfect calm. As they reached the moon's surface, they noticed something even more wondrous. Nestled within folds of cloud and glowing mist were keepers, gentle, pillow-shaped beings with soft wings and eyes that blinked only once in a great while. They watched over the dream cocoons, humming lullabies without sound, their presence wrapping each bundle in serenity. One keeper turned as Whimsy approached and dipped its head in a slow, kind greeting. "Welcome, little wind. Welcome, Cloud Kite. The moon has been expecting you." Whimsy bowed her breeze politely. "We've come to learn, to carry dreams, to fly higher than we've ever flown before." The keeper blinked. "Then you must meet the moon's heart." Guided by the keeper, Whimsy and Siri floated to the very center of the nesting moon, where the light was softest and the air thick with stillness. There they saw it. A great round pool made of silver light, not water but memory, shifting, glowing, rippling with every child's wish. This was the moon's heart. It pulsed with the rhythm of a million dreams, holding each one with equal care. Whimsy gazed into it and saw visions. A child dreaming of a kitten who could talk, another wishing for a slide that reached the stars, one hoping for a hug that lasted all night long. Every dream was cradled in calm. Siri floated close. The moon's heart keeps them safe. It reads no names, asks no questions, it only listens. Whimsy reached out with her breeze, touching the light. The moment she did, a ripple echoed through the pool. A single dream shimmered upward, one made of clouds and wind, of kites and laughter, of flight and kindness. Siri gasped. That's ours. Whimsy's voice trembled. It's become a dream. The keeper, watching from nearby, nodded once. Because it came from love, and love is the heart of all good dreams. Then the pool shimmered again, and a question formed. Not in sound, but in feeling. Would you carry this dream onward? Whimsy looked at Siri. Siri looked back with shining string eyes. Yes, they both breathed. The dream lifted from the heart of the moon, wrapped in Whimsy's breeze, and tethered to Siri's tail. It pulsed with a promise, ready to find a dreamer whose heart was open, whose mind was gentle, and who wished to float in kindness. With a quiet nod from the moonkeeper, the nesting moon exhaled a soft current of night air, lifting Whimsy and Siri into the upper sky once more. As they rose, they carried not just the dream, but something even deeper, a purpose, a whisper, a lullaby to be sung across the world. They drifted silently, holding close to one another, until the moon was behind them and the star path stretched ahead, a shimmering trail made of sleeping light. And far below, in a cozy bed near an open window, a child turned in their sleep, a smile blooming on their face. The star path lay before them like a ribbon of glowing threads, each one humming gently with the light of resting stars. It curved through the sky in slow, dreamy spirals, inviting Whimsy and Siri to follow it higher than ever before. As they approached, the guide seed began to pulse with soft warmth once more, its light flickering like a candle caught in a sigh. Siri's string shimmered, responding to the starlight with a quiet gleam of its own, while Whimsy felt her breeze slow even more, her every swirl cradled by the hush of the sky. This is it, Siri whispered. The path that only opens when the moon believes you're ready. Whimsy nodded, though the nod was no more than a change in direction, a gentle curve of breeze toward the first glimmering thread. As they stepped onto the star path, something magical happened. The stars around them, small and drowsy, began to stir, not with sound or light, but with feeling, a sleepy recognition, like the kind you feel when someone dear comes home. Tiny star motes floated near, blinking slowly. Some nestled in Siri's folds, others curled inside Whimsy's breeze like kittens seeking warmth. They know us, Whimsy said, amazed. They remember, Siri replied. They remember every dream we've touched. The path itself shifted as they moved forward. With each step or drift, the sky changed hue, soft blue to lavender, lavender to blush, blush to deep indigo. Beneath the path was nothing but stillness, and above it, endless quiet. Then, ahead, they saw the star nests. Dozens, perhaps hundreds of cozy nests woven from comet tails and moon threads floated along the sides of the path. Each nest held a slumbering starling, a baby star not yet ready to burn bright in the sky. They're still dreaming, Siri murmured, waiting until they're strong enough to shine. Whimsy floated close to one of the nests. Inside, the starling twitched slightly in its sleep, glowing faintly with flickers of yellow and pink. A tiny sound escaped it, something between a hum and a sigh. She's dreaming of laughter, Whimsy said. Siri smiled. Dreams are what feed them. That's why we're here. As they moved among the nests, more starlings stirred. Some blinked once, sensing the gentle breeze that passed through their nests. Others opened tiny star eyes for a heartbeat, chopped only to drift back into soft dreams wrapped in warmth. Then, from somewhere farther along the path, a sound reached them. A lullaby made not of words, but of notes that seemed to hang in the air like floating petals. It was the sound of the celestial cradle, and it called to them gently, steadily, lovingly. They followed. Soon, the star path widened, opening into a great cradle-shaped space in the sky. Here, the stars grew larger, adolescent starlings preparing for their first real shine. They stretched slowly, casting shimmering shadows on the clouds below. At the heart of the cradle floated a figure made entirely of light and night, the cradle weaver. She had hair like falling meteors and eyes like the softest parts of dusk. Her hands, glowing like candle flames, worked steadily to shape star thread into new nests. When she saw Whimsy and Siri, she paused, her smile blooming like the morning star. "You've come far," she said, her voice a hush wrapped in silk, "and you've brought something precious." Whimsy swirled, presenting the dream she carried, the one born from their journey, shaped by laughter and kindness and starlight. The cradle weaver leaned in, her breath cooler than fog but warmer than a wish. "This dream belongs in the great nest," she said, "where it will wait for a child ready to carry it in their sleep." She guided them gently to a grand nest made of dreams forgotten and dreams yet to be. It pulsed faintly, empty but expectant. Whimsy let her breeze unwrap, and Siri's string slowly untwined. Together, they placed the dream inside. The moment it touched the nest, the entire cradle shimmered. Stars blinked in sleepy delight. A hush fell, deeper than any hush before. Then, without a sound, the dream bloomed. It filled the nest with light, not bright or blazing, but soft, like the first light of dawn creeping across a child's bedroom wall. The cradle weaver bowed her head. "You've done something beautiful." Whimsy felt her breeze flutter with a new kind of stillness, one that wasn't quiet from lack of movement, but quiet from peace. "Are we done?" she asked. The cradle weaver smiled again. "Every dream delivered gives birth to another. You've only just begun." Siri's tail sparkled with delight. "Then where do we go next?" The cradle weaver raised a glowing hand and pointed upward, where the star path twisted once more into the sky. "There is a place beyond the cradle," she said. "The realm of gentle echoes. It is where dreams go when they wish to linger." Whimsy and Siri looked at each other. No words needed. Together, with starlings watching and dream cocoons glowing softly behind them, they followed the path again, ever upward, ever onward, into the next chapter of their journey through the sleeping skies. The star path narrowed as Whimsy and Siri drifted higher, its shimmer now soft as moonlight filtered through lace. The stars no longer glowed with the promise of becoming. They pulsed gently with memory, like the quiet heartbeat of a lullaby long sung but never forgotten. Siri's tail fluttered like a dream caught in thought. "We must be close," she murmured. "The realm of gentle echoes is near." Whimsy didn't reply with words. Instead, she sent a hush through her breeze, carrying the calm she felt deep inside. It was the kind of calm that only comes when one knows they are exactly where they are meant to be. Then, through a veil of silvery mist, the realm revealed itself. The sky opened wide into a vast space where nothing seemed to move quickly. Everything floated in slow, dreamy loops. Glowing petals from long-lost dream gardens, soft feathers from cloud birds that once sang lullabies, tiny notes of laughter and stories that shimmered like bubbles caught in sunbeams. It wasn't quiet, not truly. There was sound, but it was sound remembered, not spoken. The gentle clinking of a teacup set on a saucer during a dream of a magical picnic. The muffled giggle of a child who had dreamed of dancing shoes that whispered jokes. The sound of a wish being made by a sleepy voice under a blanket. "This place," Whimsy breathed, her breeze curling in awe. "It's made of echoes." Siri twirled slowly. "Yes, these are dreams that chose not to fade completely. They linger here, like songs sung softly to oneself in the dark." As they floated deeper, a slow swirl of glowing mist drifted toward them. Inside the mist were figures, not quite full shapes, but impressions of dreams. A girl made of starlight, holding a kite made of candy clouds, a sleepy dragon with wings stitched from bedtime stories, a talking pillow who told gentle jokes as its dreamer drifted off. Each figure bowed slightly as Whimsy and Siri passed, not as a greeting, but as a quiet thank you. For in this place, all dreams were welcome, especially those carried with care. Then something caught Whimsy's eye. A curl of mist floated nearby, and within it, her own reflection. Not as she was now, but as she had been when her journey began, a small, uncertain breeze, barely strong enough to carry a dandelion seed. Next to it was another reflection, Siri, tangled in a tree branch, giggling even while caught. And then came the echo. It was not a sound, but a feeling, a memory so gentle it barely touched her, yet it bloomed inside her like warmth. It was the moment they met. "I remember," Whimsy whispered. Siri floated beside her. "So do I." The mist around them began to shift and open, revealing a soft clearing in the sky, a place of quiet remembrance. At the center floated a great, slow-turning orb made entirely of shimmering threads of sound and light. It was the echo loom. Each thread was a dream remembered, some bright and joyful, others calm and thoughtful, but all cherished. From the loom stepped a figure, neither wind nor kite, but something in between. She was woven from breeze and memory, and her voice was no louder than the hush before a lullaby begins. "Welcome, kind travelers," she said, her eyes twinkling like distant stars. "You have brought echoes of your own." Whimsy blinked. "We have?" "You've given dreams not only their flight but their meaning," the figure continued. "Now the realm invites you to share one of your own." Siri looked to Whimsy. "Shall we?" Whimsy nodded, her breeze glowing with tenderness. Together, they reached deep into their memory and plucked a single moment, the dream they had delivered from the nesting moon. It hovered now between them, glowing more brightly than ever. But instead of releasing it, they breathed into it, adding their journey, their wonder, their quiet joys and tiny discoveries. The dream shimmered and split into threads, each one drifting gently toward the echo loom. There, they wove themselves into the fabric, curling through laughter already remembered and hope still softly humming. When the last thread settled into place, the echo loom pulsed once with gratitude. "You are now part of the echo," the figure whispered. "When the wind is just right, a child might feel your dream again, tucked within the hush of night." Whimsy felt still, not from being stopped, but from being fulfilled. Siri turned toward the sky. "Where to next?" The figure pointed upward, where the star path shimmered once more. But this time, the light was golden and dancing. "There's one more place to go," she said, "the horizon of first light, where dreams gently fade and morning begins." And so, with hearts wrapped in warmth, Whimsy and Siri rose once more, leaving behind their echo and drifting toward the place where dreams and daybreak meet. The star path narrowed once again, its edges tinged with the first hints of golden pink. The realm behind them shimmered like a soft sigh, and ahead, the sky began to shift, from velvet midnight to the tender glow of pre-dawn light. Whimsy floated in silence, her breeze curling slowly as if reluctant to leave the echoes behind. Siri trailed beside her, her string now lit with the gentle colors of a sleeping sunrise, rose, peach, and morning mist. Above them, the path stretched toward a place unlike any they had seen before, the horizon of first light. It wasn't a place in the way other realms had been. It was more like a moment stretched across the sky, a timeless space where dreams began to fade, not because they were lost, but because they had gently done their work. The light here was soft, like it was being poured from a golden shell. It didn't shine, it warmed. It wrapped around them in layers of kindness, and even the stars nearby dimmed respectfully, allowing the coming day to approach in peace. "This is where the dreams let go," Siri said quietly. "Let go of what?" Whimsy asked, her voice slower now, softened by everything they had seen. "Of the night," Siri replied. "Of the sky. Of us." Whimsy swirled thoughtfully. "Is it sad?" Siri floated for a moment before answering. "No. It's gentle, like waking up from the best kind of dream, the kind you remember even after you open your eyes." As they moved forward, they saw the horizon blooming, not with colors, but with dreams in their final form. Not bundles, not seeds, not echoes, but full dreams lifting like lanterns into the soft gold of dawn. They rose one by one, glowing softly. A dream of flying with butterflies across giant flowers, a dream of singing clouds and ticklish stars, a dream of friendship between a small mouse and a talking moon. Each one shimmered, lingered in the golden light, then faded sweetly into the day. Whimsy watched, mesmerized. "Where do they go?" "Into hearts," said a voice nearby. They turned to see a new figure, tall and calm, with robes that trailed like the morning fog and eyes the color of fresh dew. He was the morning whisperer. "They go into waking hearts," he continued. "Some become memories, some become feelings, kindness, courage, wonder. And some leave behind nothing but the quiet sense that everything is okay." He gestured to the sky around them. "Your dream will rise soon. Would you like to see it off?" Whimsy looked at Siri, and together they nodded. From her breeze, Whimsy uncurled the last flicker of their dream. It floated like a feather, light and glowing, trembling with joy. The morning whisperer stepped forward and touched it with a finger made of sunlight. The dream began to lift. At first, it hovered, uncertain. Then slowly, it rose into the horizon of first light, spinning once in a circle of gratitude. As it reached the topmost edge of the sky, it pulsed gently, sending one last warmth through the air, and then it was gone. Not lost, not vanished, just given. Whimsy felt the quiet press into her breeze like a hug. Siri twirled just once, slowly and gracefully. The morning whisperer smiled. "You have done well. The skies remember you." Whimsy asked, "Is this the end of the journey?" He shook his head gently. "It's the end of this dream. But dreams are not endings. They're beginnings wrapped in moonlight." And as he spoke, the sky began to brighten further. The horizon deepened to coral and gold. The stars yawned their last sleepy flickers, and the gentle winds of day stirred ever so slightly. "It's time for you to rest now," he said. "But where?" Siri asked softly. He gestured behind them. There, hidden until now, was a resting cloud, soft, round, and glowing with leftover moonlight. It floated gently just off the path, waiting. "You may sleep," he said, "and when the stars rise again, perhaps a new dream will find you." Whimsy and Siri drifted toward the resting cloud. It welcomed them without a word, opening a soft hollow just their size. Siri curled into the folds, her string coiling softly. Whimsy spread her breeze gently over them both, like a blanket made of hush. And as the first golden ray of the new sun stretched across the sky, the cloud closed around them in silence, carrying them into the sweetest sleep. The resting cloud floated gently, cradling Whimsy and Siri as the morning brightened around them. It drifted high above the waking world, soft and slow, untouched by the busy footsteps of day. Inside, the light was dim and dreamy, like the space between two heartbeats or the pause before a lullaby's last note. Whimsy slumbered in peace, her breeze barely stirring, curled into a soft spiral that rose and fell with every gentle breath of the cloud. Siri, nestled beside her, had folded her tail like a ribbon of silk, her cloudy form resting without a ripple. They were wrapped in the hush of deep sleep, not empty but full, the kind of sleep that only comes after a journey well-traveled. Outside, the sun climbed quietly. The world below whispered with soft winds brushing through treetops and the laughter of children beginning their day. Birds sang their morning songs, and far across the sky, the tiniest shimmer of stars still blinked once before finally vanishing into blue. But the resting cloud remained above it all, carried by the lingering grace of the night. Inside the cloud, something stirred. Not a noise, not a shake, just a feeling. A light like the beginning of a yawn. It came not from the outside, but from within the dreamers. Whimsy's breeze twitched as if catching a scent, not of flowers or starlight, but of a new dream, just barely born. And Siri, still curled, hummed softly without waking. Her string glowed faintly, responding to something in the quiet. Then the cloud sighed. It wasn't a sound anyone on Earth would hear. It was the kind of sigh clouds give when they've held dreams safe and know it's time to let them drift again. Inside that sigh, a voice began to rise. It was not loud and not clear, not a sentence or a song, but a call. Gentle, curious, familiar. Whimsy blinked. Her breeze lifted ever so slightly, as though stretching after the longest nap. She fluttered once, then again, sensing something just beyond her dreams. Siri stirred beside her. "Is it time?" she whispered. Whimsy waited. The voice called again, not with words, but with wonder. It felt like a child asking a question just before falling asleep, a question that needed a dream to answer. "Yes," Whimsy whispered back. "It's time." The resting cloud, sensing its task complete, slowly began to dissolve. Not into nothing, but into morning mist that would drift through the world below, brushing cheeks and curling in windows left slightly open. Whimsy and Siri floated upward as the cloud faded, carried once more by the sky. But this time, they weren't seeking, they were responding. Far above the waking world, a new star blinked. It wasn't large or bright, but it glowed with quiet determination. "That's where we're needed," Siri said, her voice still hushed with sleep. The star twinkled once, and with it came another whisper, a dream forming, gentle and unsure, waiting for wind to carry it and a kite to keep it company. Whimsy gathered herself, curling into a breeze, not fast or wild, but calm and sure. Siri followed, her tail catching the sunlight, painting streaks of light behind them. They glided through the sky, soft as sighs, steady as promises. And as they traveled, the morning bent around them, never pushing, only welcoming. They passed over meadows where children chased butterflies, their laughter bubbling up to greet the wind. They flew above rooftops where curtains danced gently in the breeze, stories whispered through open pages left on bedside tables. They swirled near tall trees where nests held sleepy birds and tiny wishes. And finally, they arrived at the place where the dream had begun. It was a window, just slightly ajar, in a small, quiet room. Inside, a child lay curled beneath a quilt, breathing deep, cheeks warm from sleep. Though morning had come, their hearts still held the hush of dreams. Whimsy hovered at the window, listening, and she heard it. The child's dream, still faint, asked a question in the quiet. "Can I float with the clouds?" Whimsy breezed gently in, brushing past curtains, circling once above the child's bed. Siri followed, twirling, trailing soft glimmers of sky behind her, and together they wrapped the child in a dream. A new one. Of flying higher than rooftops, of dancing with winds that carried stories, of holding the string of a kite made of cloud and whispering with stars. A dream just like the one Whimsy and Siri had carried, only now it belonged to someone else. And outside the window, the day went on. But inside the dream, time slowed, the sky opened, and a new journey had begun. The dream unfolded around the sleeping child like a warm, moonlit blanket. In the quiet cradle of the night's final breath, the child floated gently above the rooftops, carried by Whimsy's tender breeze and held steady by Siri's soft, glowing string. The world below faded into a calm, shimmering blur. Trees became soft puddles of green, rivers melted into silver ribbons, and houses twinkled like distant stars nestled in the earth. Up here, in this dreaming sky, everything was still, safe, and full of wonder. The child opened dream eyes and found themselves standing upon a path made of cloud lilies, each petal softly lighting the way forward. Siri hovered close, her body round and cottony, her tail shimmering with specks of dawn. "Hello," Siri whispered. "We've been waiting for you." The child smiled, not startled, not unsure. This was the world that dreams built, and here everything made sense. Whimsy swirled gently around the child, lifting their hair in laughter, twirling like a quiet song. "Would you like to fly?" "Yes, please," the child whispered back. And so, Siri dipped low, letting the child hold her string, and Whimsy gathered around them like a sigh made of magic. Together they rose. Not fast, not loud, just high, past chimney tops and sleepy sparrows, past wisps of forgotten lullabies, past the last corners of the dark where moonlight still napped before the sun claimed the sky. As they floated, the child noticed strange and lovely things only dreams could hold. A floating teacup, pouring warm honey into clouds, a great gentle tortoise made of rain, carrying a forest on its back, snoozing as it glided through the sky. Lanterns filled with giggles drifted by, softly lighting the dream path as if marking places where other children had once flown. "What is this place?" the child asked softly. "It's the in-between," Siri answered. "Between dreaming and waking, a place where your wishes stretch their wings." "Can I stay forever?" Whimsy's breeze wrapped around the child like a hug. "Not forever, but for as long as the dream needs you, and as long as you need the dream." They drifted toward a sky meadow, a field of floating blossoms made of memory and hope. Each flower opened slowly as they passed, revealing tiny glowing seeds within. "What are those?" the child asked, reaching out with wonder. "Seeds of stories," Siri replied. "Some become songs, some become drawings, and some grow into new dreams for others to find." "Can I plant one?" Whimsy guided the child to a bloom that sparkled just a little more than the others. Carefully, the child touched the seed and let it go. It drifted downward slowly, carried by a breeze, glowing warmer and brighter as it fell. It would land somewhere soft, in a heart, a sketchbook, a whispered wish, and it would grow. The child watched until it disappeared, then turned to Whimsy. "What happens when I wake up?" "You'll remember," Whimsy said gently. "Not everything," Siri added, "just the part that matters." They flew in silence for a while longer, watching the horizon begin to change. The sky turned bluer, the stars thinned, and somewhere far away, a rooster's crow echoed like the tickle of morning. The dream was fading. The child felt it, not with sadness, but with a quiet knowing. The way one feels at the end of a bedtime story, when the final page is turned and the world feels a little fuller. "Will I see you again?" the child asked. Siri's tail curled into a spiral. "When you need us." Whimsy brushed the child's cheeks with one last gentle breeze. "And when the sky listens." The world around them shimmered, and the cloud paths began to dissolve into sunlight. The blossoms closed their petals. The giggle lanterns blinked out, one by one. It was time. Whimsy and Siri gently lowered the child back through the sky, back toward the quiet room with the open window. The morning air stirred, birds chirped softly, and the warmth of waking slowly filled the space. The child, now nestled under the quilt once more, turned slightly and smiled. A breeze passed through the room, soft as a secret. Outside, a cloud shaped like a kite floated slowly across the sky, trailing a ribbon of light. And though the child would not remember every detail, they would wake with wonder, a spark of magic tucked in their heart like a treasure only they could feel. Far above, Whimsy and Siri circled once more, their journey not ending, only beginning again, in every dream that asked a question and waited for the wind to answer. Far above the waking world, where the sky stretched soft and endless, Whimsy and Siri floated side by side in the golden hush that follows the end of a dream. The morning had fully arrived below, but up here, high in the hushlands of the in-between, there was still quiet, still light, still space for dreaming. Siri's tail shimmered gently with leftover glow from the child's wish, and Whimsy's breeze moved slower than ever, as though savoring the stillness. "We did it," Siri whispered. "Yes," Whimsy replied, her voice light as sunlight through curtains. "We gave a dream, and it bloomed." They drifted for a while, not needing to speak. The sky around them was painted in soft strokes, hints of lemon, peach, and the palest blue. Tiny dream motes floated like feathers, some rising slowly into the sky, others gently fading into the light. Below, children were waking. Not all at once, and not all remembering, but each carried something in their hearts. A sense of wonder, a flicker of joy, a feeling that something magical had passed through them while they slept. Some ran to draw pictures they didn't understand. Some hummed melodies they'd never heard before. Some simply smiled for no reason at all. And above it all, Whimsy and Siri watched. "Do you think they'll keep dreaming?" Siri asked softly. "They always do," said Whimsy, "even when they forget." Just then, a ripple moved through the sky, a message from the stars, perhaps, or a whisper from the moon. It wasn't a word or even a thought, but a feeling. Readiness. Siri turned her soft face toward the horizon. "Another one?" Whimsy nodded. "A new dream is being born." They turned together, catching the faintest breeze, and followed the trail of mist that curled like a ribbon into the sky. As they floated, the landscape above the clouds shifted once more. Now they saw the dreamkeeper far in the distance, perched atop a tall cloud tower, gently combing a new row of dream seeds into the garden. They glimpsed the cradle weaver tending the star nests, tucking sleepy starlings into bundles of hush, their tiny glows preparing for evening. And somewhere in the sky's deep heart, the echo loom hummed quietly, weaving their story into the great fabric of remembered dreams. Everything was connected. Every breeze a whisper, every kite a question, every dream a promise. As they reached the place where the new dream had begun to stir, they hovered quietly, waiting. It was small, flickering, not yet shaped, but it was there. A wish, soft and shy, just barely formed. Whimsy curled around it. "Hello, little dream." Siri floated close. "Are you ready to fly?" The dream glowed faintly like a firefly, unsure if it should shine. And that's when Whimsy did what she had always done best. She breathed, just gently, a soft curl of wind. Not a push, not a pull, just a quiet nudge of care. The dream shimmered. Siri wrapped a thread of cloud around it and gave it a tail of stars. "Now," she whispered, "let's see where you want to go." And together, the three of them, wind, kite, and dream, rose once more into the sky. They passed fields of dreaming clouds, meadows of floating lullabies, rivers made of forgotten songs. They flew gently, without hurry, without worry. They weren't looking for a destination. They were simply following wonder. And far, far below, a little one yawned and blinked against the morning sun, carrying in their chest a feeling they couldn't name, a softness, a warmth, a sparkle, just beneath their heart. The breeze tickled the window pane. The clouds shifted into the shape of a kite, and the sky, so wide and waiting, held open its arms once again. Above it all, the whispering wind and the cloud kite danced on, dream after dream, night after night, sharing the quiet magic of sleep and stories. With every child who closed their eyes and dared to wonder.